Without change, something sleeps inside us. The sleeper must awaken.
Hello and welcome back to another We Ourselves video. And today I want to talk about Warner Brothers' upcoming Harry Potter series and the controversial casting of a new actor, a black actor, to play Professor Snape. Now, I knew that they were in talks with Paapa Essiedu. He's a British-born actor, but his parents are Ghanaian, and I've seen interviews where he complained about having to use the English version of his name, so he clearly identifies with his Ghanaian background and heritage. I never followed the casting as close as other people because I'm waiting to see who they're going to cast for the big three characters, and so I've kind of been holding off. I know John Lithgow has already been casted as Dumbledore. That's fine. But again, I haven't really been diving deep into the casting news. My excitement for the series was based on the idea that we were finally going to get not only the full storylines that were not included in the movies, but we were finally going to see a lot of the characters that did not get a lot of shine in the movie. In particular, contrary to the lies that are told about the Harry Potter's book series, there is black representation in the book. And I pointed out in a comment that I left on the Dre Mac video that I find it interesting that people are going into the book to see if it's possible that Severus Snape could have been black, or if the wording was ambiguous enough that he could be black. I find that funny because of the actual black characters in the book. J.K. Rowling, even back in the 90s when the first books were coming out, she clearly identified these characters as black. And when you look at the American side of YA literature, it was the white American YA writers who either did not include black characters or made them so minor that they were forgettable. And even then, they used ambiguous language to describe them. But J.K. Rowling clearly identified her black characters as black. And so I was looking forward to seeing these characters brought more to life in the TV series. Now, you saw Dean Thomas a lot and you heard his name in the movies, but you had characters like Lee Jordan. He's the little boy with the dreads that's announcing doing the scores at the first two Quidditch matches in the first two movies. After that, you never see him again, really. But in the book, he was always there with Fred and George, and he was their best friend. When he left Hogwarts, he was on the Wizarding Wireless. He had a show, and he and another former student, they were the ones that was passing information along to the anti-Voldemort forces through the radio. Now, in the movies, they did have the adult wizard, Kingsley Shacklebolt, but he even had a more significant role in the books. Blas Zabini, you saw him in the later movies sitting there with Malfoy, but in the book, you go into his history and the fact that he's from a wealthy family and his mom was a famous wizard singer. Angelina Johnson. Now, you see her in the background in a couple of movies, and then Fred or George, I forget which one, asked her to go to the Yule Ball dance, and she agrees. She really came to the fore in the fifth book because she was the Quidditch captain, and so she had far more speaking parts and stuff in that fifth book. You don't get any of that in the movie, so I looked forward to seeing these black characters realized more fully in accordance to what we had in the books. I was not asking for them to take a traditionally white character and race swap them because they already had plenty of black characters that they could work with. And if they wanted to, they could even make a few changes and up their parts and make their parts more important in the series. So you had the organic characters that were written as black by the original author, and therefore they were already in the stories. We didn't need to race swap anybody. And so that's why I wasn't all excited about Severus Snape being recast with the black character, because it's unnecessary. In the fifth movie and in the fifth book, James Potter and Sirius Black bully Snape. And it's not an even thing. Even though in the book they say that Snape got his jabs in and stuff like that, it's not even. Because James and Sirius are the popular kids. Sirius comes from a wealthy, pure-blood family. They are the elite at the school and they are picking on Snape. It is not a fair fight. And in the book, Harry is far more upset about it. And Sirius admits that they were bullies. They did not defend what they did. They were the troublemakers. If they keep James and Sirius white and they are still the most popular kids in the class, then you mean you have two white boys who are ganging up on a black kid and bullying him. You have now introduced a racial component to what they did. And here's the more chilling thing. They turn him upside down and they hang him in the air upside down, exposing his underwear and stuff under a tree. Now that Snape is black, if these two white, popular, rich kids do this to the black guy and they hang him or suspend him in the air upside down under a tree, hello, that is symptomatic of a lynching. And people can get upset all they want, but that is what happens when you race swap and you introduce a character of color, particularly a black character, into a situation where it was never written to accommodate them. That is a god-awful visual that you're going to have in that show unless you change the circumstances. Do I think they're going to change it? Hell no. Either they're going to leave it the way it is or they're going to make it worse and introduce even more negative tropes. And if they don't change Lily also from white, you're introducing yet another negative stereotype for a black man. And in one of my previous videos, I referenced a video put out by Pick, and it says the 11 stereotypes that black men play in Hollywood. And one of those stereotypes is called the bachelor who never wins. And the bachelor who won't win, particularly when the bachelor who won't win has this undying love for a white female protagonist who does not give him the time of day when it comes to romance and sexual interest. She will use him and he will continue to be at her beck and call because he loves her, but she is not interested in him in any kind of reciprocal way. She is on mission and she is able to stop any hint that he puts towards them dating or anything. She's able to stop it on a dime, showing that she is firmly in control. And it also makes her look cool that she has a black friend or a black best friend. Finn in Star Wars sequel trilogy is probably the most horrendous and worst examples of it. His entire story arc was crashed and shattered just so he can become the bachelor who won't win. He literally chases after Rey, the white female protagonist who is not interested in him in that way. She's more interested in the bad boy, and he still chases behind her all the way to the third film, shouting her name over and over. It became so egregious that even white people had to complain about it. He is the ultimate example. The reason I'm going on and on about this is because that is what you have done to Severus Snape by casting him with a black person. You did not notice it as much when it was just Severus Snape as played by Alec Rickman, but now that you have a black character in there, you have now introduced the ultimate bachelor who will not win. Severus Snape is in deep love with Lily for always, even into his adulthood, even into his death. By making him black, you now have this black character who has this unrequited love for this white character, Lily. Not only does she not return those feelings, but she ends up dating the guy who bullied him, probably with racial overtones. She ends up marrying him and having his kid, and now Snape has to teach the kid. It is the ultimate example of the bachelor who cannot win. And by making Severus Snape black, you are now introducing that horrendous stereotype into the Harry Potter series. And this is just with one casting choice where you did not have to race swap the character. And I have no confidence that Warner Brothers, any more than Lucasfilm or Marvel or anybody, are going to pay attention to these negative stereotypes that they are now set to perpetuate unless they're going to recast and race swap the other characters around them, which we know they're not going to do. So now my enthusiasm to see the show has been cut probably by 75%. And so anyway, those are my comments on it. Let me know what you think in the comments. And as always, like, subscribe, and share. Hit the like button on the video, and I will see you the next time.